Hello and welcome. This is One India, and we know that this morning what happened. Yes, Donald Trump, he was shot at in one of the rallies in Pennsylvania. Now we are here connected with Vlada, and she will give us more insight about what is happening in USA and what are the new debates and what are the information that people want to know what really happened in Trump's rally. Welcome to One India, Vlada. Thank you so much for talking with us. First of all, I want to ask you one question, and that's about AR-15 rifles. This is the same rifle that has been used in so many mass shootings, even in the schools of USA. So, what do you think about this? And the bigger question than that, that now the news is coming up that it was a Republican who tried to shoot Donald Trump.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. The reality is that while this very young man shows to have been a registered Republican, when Crooks was just 17, he made a $15 donation to an organization, Act Blue. For those that aren't aware, especially in India, this is a political action committee that raises money for left-leaning and Democratic politicians. And this is according to the 2021 Federal Election Commission filing. In fact, at that point, the donation was earmarked by the Progressive Turnout Project. This is a national group that rallies to elect Democrats. I'm not sure why he was a registered Republican with a donation record and a background like that to blue organizations that focus on electing Democrats. It's certainly troubling, and he was a very troubled young man. But many Trump supporters across the United States support the right to bear arms. It is a right that is covered under the United States Constitution. And unfortunately, you cannot prevent certain people from having access to certain arms. It will happen even if they are banned. To look at the gun argument and to say that now is the time to look at heavy weapons and rifles like this in semi-automatics and automatics. I'm a fervent supporter of the Second Amendment. I firmly believe that we have the right to carry arms, and you have to look at history and ask yourself, as also a Jew, if we were armed, would the Holocaust have happened if we could have fought back? So I think it is the right of a United States citizen. Personally, that is my belief.
Yeah, so my question is that despite Trump being attacked, do you think still the Republicans are going to support it, most of the Republicans, or will there be any change? Will the sentiments will change because school shooting that has become almost like a monthly or quarterly event that we have seen, but Trump being shot at is a big issue, and that too right before elections.
I think it's improper to say school shootings happen monthly. They don't, and we take those things very seriously in the United States. What this has done is ensured a Trump 2024 presidency almost. What you've done and what you've seen in the last 2 years is a complete radicalization of a very fair justice system that we've always had. When you can't beat someone at the ballot box, you take them through the courts. When you can't win it after you weaponize the courts, you take them, and what happens next? You have a desperate attempt on his life. This is a very slippery slope. It's very, very dangerous, and there are a lot of questions which are not being discussed. One of the questions that I'd like to pose here is, how could this happen with the Secret Service allowing someone to be 500 feet away, a shooter on a rooftop who has clear sight of the stage with a clear shot? This is not as amateur as it's being made to sound, and there certainly needs to be an investigation, and a lot of questions have to be asked. It is very alarming, and someone in Secret Service didn't fully do their job that day, and that needs to be addressed and questioned.
Yes, do you believe? Because many of the supporters who were there in that rally, they are claiming that Secret Services were late. They ignored the warnings as well. So, do you believe that Secret Services were at mistake? The agents over there were at mistake?
At the end of the day, if you've ever been around a presidential detail, you know that Service has a very serious job to do prior to any sort of event where they sweep the property and they make sure
Right.
there's a certain radius and circumference around a president, former president, or someone high profile of that caliber. That was not clearly done here. And the fact that some of the supporters were calling the police and saying there's someone on a rooftop, that's very,
Right.
very troubling with a clear sight of vision in any sort of Secret Service sweep that would have been found. But I would also like to commend the Secret Service. While some of them didn't do their job, some others helped save the president's life
Yeah.
and managed to deactivate the shooter with a kill shot immediately. And that saved a lot of lives that day. And so we are incredibly grateful for that. At the end of the day, whether you like Trump or you don't, it is still a former president of the United States, and those things are taken very seriously.
And the kind of message Trump left while he was, he was leaving the stage, and he continued to say, fight, fight to his supporters. And the images that are coming out, they look like the iconic images, and they are going to stay with the people of America. How these images are going to impact the upcoming US elections?
At the end of the day, what you saw was Trump's spirit come out even through an assassination attempt. He said
Right.
fight for a reason because he's a fighter and everyone, he wants to rally the people to continue the fight. It's not over. And even through an
Mhm.
assassination attempt, he's not going to stop. The voters aren't going to stop. And Americans are going to fight all the way to the ballot box to make sure that he is elected. And this assassination attempt definitely begs to ask a lot of questions. I think the viral image is all over the world going of his fist up in the air and blood streaming down his face. That's
Right.
what it means to go against the establishment. That's what it means to go up against a very, very vicious and weaponized party.
And what are your views? What are your comments with what Biden said? Of course, he has criticized the entire thing, but how do you, see his comment being the president? And of course, he is being criticized for a very, very long time since the Israel-Hamas war has started. So, how do you rate his comment on Trump?
At the end of the day, Biden is in severe cognitive decline. Unfortunately, we have a leader of the free world who is struggling to keep up, and reports have come out of Parkinson's doctors being in the White House regularly, and that's really unfortunate. I'm not sure how much of Biden is actually there. He's being coached very heavily. I'm not sure how much he really understands or fully comprehends. I certainly don't think that anybody intentionally wishes like this a former president or a current president for the death of another president. He's been in the job. He understands how difficult that job is. But unfortunately, I just don't feel that Biden is really cognitively anywhere near the levels that he used to be when he was senator or in his very long political career. And I think that the Democratic Party really needs to help him protect his legacy. He unfortunately is really not able to keep up at this point.
Should we see it as a new law in the US politics, or it is just a lone wolf work,
You're talking about the assassination attempt in specific.
Yes. Yes.
Uh, it's hard to gauge at this point. It's very early to say, but the string of events leading up to it, it seems like a desperation attempt. Can we say that it was coordinated? Can we say it comes from higher up? Can we say it was contracted? Of course we can't. We don't have any facts on our side, and I think we're still trying to
Right.
figure out what happened with the JFK assassination. So will we ever really know? I'm not sure, but it does tell you the levels that someone will go to keep Trump from office. I do believe that just like the circus and charade that took place in the courts, that Trump will continue to prevail, and this will only strengthen and support his base. He had the largest fundraising numbers after the courts and after he was convicted. I think this will be no different. I think a new poll will come out in the coming week, and I'm sure we're going to see him skyrocket.
And what would you like to say to those who are saying that, it was a staged assassination? There are messages coming up. People are saying that, oh, it could be staged because there are elections coming up.
I certainly don't think it was staged. It doesn't look like a staged attempt. You're always going to have a percentage of any population in the world that has a conspiracy theory for something, starting and ending with Princess Diana's death, and the list goes on to JFK. I don't believe it was staged. I believe it was a very real shooter. The bullet grazed his ear. He was millimeters away from losing his life. And thanks to the quick actions of the Secret Service, was able to come out of there alive with his fist in the air. So I don't believe it was a staged attempt, but can we say that this is not some bigger coordinated attempt? We certainly can't. And I certainly look forward to seeing what the investigation yields, what the facts yield. And I hope we have those answers soon.
Just last question, Vlada. I want to ask you what is going to change after this? What is going to change in USA? What is going to change in US elections after this failed assassination attempt?
I truly believe that this is going to lead to a record voter turnout. I think you're going to have a record voter turnout, especially come out of the Republicans. I think for the Republicans that might have been sleeping up until this point, this is a huge wake-up call for them to get up and to fight all the way to the ballot box. When you have a president who's fighting for his life on stage, blood streaming down his face, it certainly has a way of activating the base. And I truly believe that a lot of Republicans now more than ever are going to understand what is at stake. I think a lot of Democrats since the last debate have questioned if the person that they have elected 4 years ago can actually continue to moving forward and is the best choice for the party. I think many of them have made the conclusion last landing with even actors like George Clooney saying, no, he should not continue. He needs to step down. So I think you're going to see high voter turnout. I think you're going to see a very radicalized base that is feeling like they're fighting for their lives because their candidate is fighting for his life. And I think that is what you're going to see coming out in this election.
Right. Thank you so much for your inputs. We'll connect with you again whenever we have a breaking news or we want to get more of the insight. And of course, for the US elections, we are going to connect a lot and exchange our views. Thank you so much for your time, Vlada.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank
It
you.
was a pleasure.
Don't miss out. Follow One India for real-time updates.